Discover the incredible life-changing journey of a hidden hero, 12 touching stories exposed. In the quiet town of Maplewood, Kansas, an extraordinary figure walks unseen among the vibrant displays of freshly baked pies and the laughter of children echoing from the park. Emma, a dedicated high school guidance counselor, carries with her the weight of dreams and the stories of the countless students she has touched. Beneath the ordinary facade lies an urgent tension, a battlefield where the future of a community hangs in the balance. Every morning, she glides through the corridors of Maplewood High, where the flickering fluorescent lights seem to cast doubt on the dreams that dwell within the faded lockers. Each locker a hidden wish Malik, with his graffiti artistry screaming for recognition amidst his own chaos. Jessica, the fierce athlete, struggling against the shadows of loss that threaten to swallow her whole. And Liam, burdened by the chains of his past, seeking redemption in the relentless pursuit of knowledge. Their disparities gnaw at Emma's heart, a visceral pain that drives her to fight for their hopes, even as the world often feels cruel and indifferent. The juxtaposition shifts when a flashy developer struts into town, brandishing plans for a groundbreaking shopping center, a shiny beacon that promises prosperity. But Emma knows it comes with a price: the community center, a place that has shaped her life and so many others. Memories flood back. She recalls the laughter, the pivotal events, the comforting embrace of belonging. A fire ignites deep within her. No, she declares silently, determined to protect what has shaped countless lives, including hers. In a whirlwind of activism, Emma takes charge, rallying her students and their families under one cause: save our community. As protest meetings bubble with energy, the air thick with the sense of homemade signs and the passion of spoken dreams, she sees how tides can turn. They sing rallying songs, their voices echoing off the gym walls, her heart swelling with pride for the very people she has dedicated her life to support. But the tension escalates when she stands at the edge of the diner, ready for the town meeting, the heart of Maplewood. Emma prepares her speech, but doubt creeps in like a thief in the night. This isn't just about a building, it's about their very identity, their futures. She watches as the community awakens, faces bright with determination, fueled by shared struggles. They could challenge the status quo, but the developers have their might, and their resolve is tested. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the stakes higher than ever, Emma senses an electric charge in the diner as emotions peak. Then, out of nowhere, a stranger slips a crumpled note into her hands, words lingering: "You have the power to change your fate." Her heart races, a pulse of hope coursing through her veins. But what does this mean? In the crescendo of all they've fought for, she stands ready to confront not just the loss of a community center, but the very essence of what that center represents. As the meeting begins, the question looms: will they triumph, or crumble beneath the weight of a world waiting to dismiss them? The room buzzes as the town meeting kicks off, the clatter of chairs and muffled conversations blending into a symphony of anticipation. Emma clutches the note tightly in her palm, her pulse quickening with every passing second. The stranger's words echo in her mind: "You have the power to change your fate." But what if she fails? As the mayor steps onto the stage, his confident smile feels like a sharpened knife. He launches into the shiny promises of development, progress, jobs, a glamorous shopping center. Emma exchanges glances with her students. Malik's eyes show a flicker of hope, but beneath it, doubt lurks. Jessica's fists clench in silent fury, while Liam stares into the distance, perhaps imagining a life stripped of everything he's fought for. Enough. Emma's voice cuts through the noise, finding strength she didn't know she possessed. All fatigue dissipates. She strides forward, heart pounding like a drum, and stands before the crowd. A sea of faces turns to her, a mix of anticipation and skepticism. "We all know why we're here," she begins, the tremor in her voice gradually steadying. "This community center is more than just bricks and mortar. It's a sanctuary, a place where dreams are born and nurtured." She pauses, searching for the right words. Memories of laughter fill her mind. Every birthday party, every summer camp, every moment shared has a soul linked to that building. Without it, what will happen to us? To our kids? A murmur spreads through the room. Hope glimmers, flickering through renewed expressions. As she continues, Emma details stories Malik's artistry displayed proudly at youth events, Jessica leading her team to victory, Liam finding solace in late-night study sessions. The crowd leans in, captivated, and she can feel their emotions swelling. But then, a familiar figure rises from the back, the developer's right-hand man, Mr. Jenkins, his sly grin sending a chill down Emma's spine. "You really think people care about a rundown building? They care about what we can offer them, a bright future." The buzzing crowd shifts uncomfortably, caught in a conflict of devotion and dreams. Emma swallows hard, but defiance spills forth. "But what is a bright future if it's built on the ashes of our culture? On the memories we've forged together? Do you really believe nostalgia can stop progress? That a community can survive on memories alone?" Jenkins fires back, a flicker of malice playing on his lips. Emma's chest tightens, and for a heartbeat, doubt fractures her resolve. She remembers the note. The power is hers. "Maybe it's time we redefine what progress means," she challenges, her voice stronger. "We can thrive without losing what makes us, us." The crowd erupts in murmurs. Emma can see the flickers of hope transforming into flames of determination. But she knows the battle is just beginning. With Jenkins watching, calculating, eyes glinting like shards of glass, she realizes this moment will draw lines in the sand. Then, the lights flicker ominously. A hushed silence envelopes the room, as if the universe holds its breath. Emma glances around. A strange energy pulses, an unmistakable tension crackling in the air. Then, just as suddenly, the lights go dark. Panic ripples through the crowd. Emma's heart races. In the dark, the whispers grow louder, the uncertainty casting doubts like shadows. She can't let this moment slip away. "Stay calm," she urges, her voice echoing into the blackness. But doubts linger. What if this is more than just a power disruption? An eerie feeling settles in her gut. The stakes are escalating. The battle for Maplewood isn't just about community anymore, it's morphing into a war for survival. As the lights flicker back on, revealing a figure standing at the entrance, cloaked in shadows, Emma's mind races. Who is it? What do they want? The tension thickens and her instincts scream that the real conflict is just beginning. What lies behind that door? What secrets will emerge as the fight for her community unfolds? Emma's breath catches in her throat, as the specter of uncertainty looms ever closer. The figure steps into the light, casting a long shadow across the room. Emma squints, her heart thumping wildly in her chest. The newcomer adjusts their coat, revealing sharp features and piercing eyes that seem to absorb the very essence of the crowd. A sudden chill sweeps through the hall, sending shivers down Emma's spine. It's Clara, an old friend from high school. But something about her looks different. Her confidence radiates, and there's an electric energy surrounding her. People whisper, astonished. "Clara?" Emma's voice barely escapes her lips. The last they heard, Clara had left town for the big city, chasing dreams that seemed far too lofty for Maplewood. "Emma," Clara calls, her voice both melodic and commanding. "I've come back because I heard about the meeting. You need help." The room quiets, eyes shifting back and forth between the two old friends. Confusion and curiosity fill the air. Before Clara can elaborate, Jenkins interrupts, his voice dripping with disdain. "And what exactly does the prodigal daughter offer?" Flashy stories 1T save a dilapidated community center. His sneer is unmistakable, and his contempt fills the space like smoke. Listen, Jenkins. Clara's voice cuts through the tension, raw and unyielding. This building isn't just about bricks. It's a lifeline for this community. I've seen what happens when places like this disappear. The pain in her tone is real, and Emma feels the weight of it. She remembers Clara had lost her family home, a place that had once been rich with laughter and love. The crowd leans in, drawn to Clara's unspoken sorrow. Emma can see a flicker of recognition on their faces, the shared understanding of losing a safe haven. Clara continues, her hands gesturing with passion. These are not just walls. They are memories. These walls have held your hopes, dreams, and stories. Don't let Jenkins erase your history. A sizable chunk of the crowd murmurs, the seeds of rebellion embedding into their minds. Emma's heart races as hope begins to spread anew. Perhaps they could take this fight further, gather more allies. Just as she feels a surge of energy, the lights flicker again, this time accompanied by loud booms echoing from outside. The sound is jarring, sending a fresh tremor of fear through the attendees. What now? Someone whispers, panic creeping back in as a few children begin to cry. Stay together. Emma shouts, trying to project her voice over the noise. But the commotion outside grows louder. People shift uneasily, glancing toward the doors, worry etched on their faces. Foul play? Clara suggests quietly, her eyes narrowing. This is not just a town meeting. I believe they may want to sabotage us, to end this discussion once and for all. The realization hits Emma hard. Could this be Jenkins' doing? Is he trying to intimidate them into silence? Fear seeps into her bones, but the strength of her resolve begins to solidify. We need to leave now. Clara insists, pointing to a group of people inching toward the exit, their eyes wide with alarm. Emma nods, adrenaline propelling her into action, but just as they start to move, the doors burst open. A blinding light spills into the room, followed by men in dark suits. They're unmistakable security. The crowd gasps collectively. Everyone stay where you are. This meeting is over. One of the suited men barks, his voice filled with authority. The room erupts into chaos. Emma's heart races as panic sets in once more. No! She cries out, stepping forward. We're not going anywhere. We have a voice, and we will not be silenced. But can she stand strong against this unexpected force? As the suited men move closer, fists clenching tighter around the edges of the table, Emma's mind races. What happens next could determine the future of Maplewood. Will they have the courage to fight? In this overwhelming frenzy, Emma lifts her chin, glaring defiantly. The stakes have never been higher. And as the tension mounts, she knows one thing for certain: the battle has only just begun, and she has to be ready for whatever comes next. The room pulsated with anxiety. Emma felt the pounding of her heart resonate in her ears, drowning out the chaotic clamor that erupted around her. With every second, the intimidating presence of the dark-suited men cast a deeper shadow over the community's hope. Clara stood beside her, fists clenched, her earlier confidence hardening into resolve. "Stop!" shouted one of the guards, holding up a hand, demanding silence amidst the storm. But the murmurs persisted. Emma spotted familiar faces from childhood friends, neighbors, people who had shared laughter and tears in this very hall. They weren't just spectators anymore, they were fighting defenders, grappling with the fear that now threatened to choke them. "Listen!" Emma shouted again, forcing her voice above the turmoil. "This is our home. We can't let them take it. We owe it to ourselves and to everyone who came before us." Her voice echoed off the walls, and for a moment, time froze. Eyes turned toward her, a mixture of fear and determination mirrored back. The suited men exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. "You'll regret this," the lead man finally growled, a menacing sneer tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Regret?" Emma scoffed, feeling the adrenaline push her forward. "Regret is choosing to stand by and watch while you destroy what is ours. We won. Back down." She could see Clara nodding beside her, reinforcing the strength of Emma's words. Cheers erupted from a few gathered supporters, rising against the palpable fear. But the guards didn't flinch. Instead, they stepped closer, the tension thickening like a drawn bowstring ready to snap at any moment. Suddenly, a piercing shout rang out from the crowd. "There's no way we're letting you bulldoze our dreams." A voice Emma recognized: Mary, a mother of 3, her eyes blazing with fury. She stepped forward, joining Emma and Clara, unwavering. More voices joined, emboldened and functioning as a tapestry of defiance. The spearhead of the crowd began pushing towards the doors, a wave of humanity pushing against the stern faces of the guards. Emma felt the weight of their bravery cascade through her like a shockwave. It reignited the fire she had only just found. Then, the first guard made a move, shoving toward Mary's position. "Stand down," he ordered, but the words were futile. The moment was electric, a charge weaving through the unity that now surged forward. Panic erupted anew as people began shouting in chaotic unison, arms flailing, and newfound courage refreshing the fear that once gripped them. Somewhere in the back, a woman shrieked as she stumbled, but her cry resonated, and others echoed her plea. Clara shouted, "We need a plan. We can't let them take us down without a fight." But the swirl of voices and fears began spiraling beyond control. Emma felt a thick lump in her throat. Would they all become victims of their own chaos? "Hold on," Emma shouted again, stepping into the fray. "Take a breath. We need to think. We need to strategize." But before she could gather her thoughts, an overwhelming crash sounded from the back of the room. Tires screeched outside, and another wave of shadows crept through the grimy windows. Emma's heartbeat quickened as she glanced back. A van was pulled up at the entrance, its sliding doors bursting open. More suited figures emerged, the look of intent clear on their faces. More enforcers? Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this was only escalating. Emma's words were lost as the chaos flooded back, her mind racing. What were they up against? How many more were coming? She needed to think fast, and then it hit her: what if they had allies outside? What if there were people willing to stand with them, not just out of nostalgia, but because they believed in community, in a place that mattered? As the tension thickened again, stifling the air, Emma felt a sudden rush of determination surge inside her. It was clear they'd have to fight back, not just for past memories but for the future they all still believed in. The guard who had shouted before stepped forward again, and Emma locked eyes with Clara, both of them knowing this was the moment they had to seize. Time to show them what Maplewood is made of. Emma yelled, rallying the crowd around her. But would their courage be enough to withstand the forces confronting them? The imminent challenge was daunting. Would allies answer the call, or was this truly just the beginning of their nightmare? The crowd surged forward, a relentless tide of fear and hope clashing against the dark suits now encroaching from all sides. Emma could feel the electric charge in the air, a volatile mixture of bravery and despair. She looked at Mary, whose fierce expression had become a catalyst for the shifting dynamics in the room. "Mary!" Emma called out, pushing through the press of bodies. "Let us get them organized. If we stand together, they can't take us down." Mary nodded, gathering several others as they formed a front line, bolstered by their shared conviction. The guards eyed the growing crowd warily. They might be men of power and intimidation, but determination could make them falter. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the hall as one of the suited men drew a baton, raising it to silence the swelling rebellion. In that heartbeat, the atmosphere shifted. Fear was palpable, thickening the air like fog. Emma's breath caught in her throat. This wasn't just a negotiation anymore, it was a launch pad for violence. "Back off!" Clara shouted, stepping forward, fists clenched, her voice a beacon slicing through the gloom. Others followed her lead, forming a makeshift barricade against the guards. Enough! The lead guard barked again, his voice laced with simmering rage. You're outnumbered and outmatched. His words dropped like weights into the sea of people, but Emma sensed the tides shifting. What the guards perceived as an obstacle was slowly transforming into their greatest fear, a unified front fueled by deep-rooted ties to this place they all called home. Emma took a step closer, joining her allies. You may have numbers, but we have heart. Look around you. We're not backing down for anyone, not today. Not ever. The crowd echoed her words, invigorated by her resolve. Cheers rose, harmonizing into a mesmerizing choir of defiance that challenged the very foundations of fear, and then, just as clarity seemed to emerge from the chaos, an unexpected voice breached the noise. What is going on here? The words trickled in, sharp and authoritative. Emma turned her head, searching for the source, and her heart skittered when she spotted a familiar figure, Jake, her childhood friend, standing at the doorway. He brandished his phone, the screen illuminating his concerned expression. Behind him, a group of newcomers, local activists and neighborhood elders filtered in, drawn by the escalating uproar. Relief washed over Emma like rainstorm after a drought. They weren't alone. Jake! She shouted, waving him over. We're standing up against the guards. They're trying to take our land. Then we'll stand with you. Together. He yelled back, the defiance evident in his voice. They can't just push us around. The blood surged through Emma's veins, igniting a fire within. Allies were coming, but the threat loomed. Crowds could easily be swallowed by chaos. She had to reach them before fear took hold again. Everyone, we have to divide. Those who can support the front with me and Clara stay here, while the rest create a distraction. We're going to fight back. Emma commanded, her voice steady amidst the turmoil. Resounding agreements bounced back, and Emma felt the pulse of her community growing stronger. As Clara and Mary began to lead the charge forward, Emma could see the determination in the eyes of those around her, their shared history and fears forging an unbreakable bond. But just as they braced for the unraveling confrontation, the back door swung open, revealing a figure shrouded in darkness. It was another suited man, but he held something in his hands, a small device that hummed ominously. What is that? Someone cried, panic rippling through the crowd. Emma's heart raced as dread curled in her stomach. The man raised the device, and with a sharp flick, the room lit up in a blinding flash. Confusion erupted like fireworks. Screams echoed, and the world around her blurred. The last thing Emma noticed was the stunned faces of her friends, struggling to comprehend what was happening, and then everything went black. What had they unleashed? Were they truly ready for the storm that was coming? Emma's eyes fluttered open, the chaos of the hall threading back into focus as if she were emerging from a dream. The fiery flash had melted into an unsettling haze, filled with murmurs of confusion and muted cries. As she struggled to gain her bearings, an icy grip of fear clenched her heart. Where were her friends? With every ounce of will, she pushed herself up from the cold floor, her limbs heavy and uncooperative. The crowd, now disoriented, swirled around her like leaves in a windstorm. They were lost, and the intensity in their faces mirrored her growing dread. Mary? Clara? Jake? She called out, her voice shaky, barely cutting through the fog of uncertainty that enveloped them. Panic gnawed at her insides as she searched the dimly lit space in the distance. The voices of the guards pierced through, sharper now, like daggers thrown into the confusion. Regroup. Don't let them escape. The order rang out, followed by the heavy thud of boots against the ground. Each sound sent tremors through Emma's chest. Get back together. We can't let them isolate us. She urged, voicing the silent thought consuming everyone. Like a moth to a flame, Emma stumbled forward, one tentative foot after another, weaving through faces twisted in disbelief and rising anger. She spotted Clara on the far side, crouched by a trembling elder, trying to coax them to stand. Relief flooded her as she caught Clara's eyes, an unspoken acknowledgement passing between them, a flicker of hope amidst the darkness. "Clara!" Emma shouted, the name bursting from her lips, urgency throbbing beneath every syllable. Clara's head jerked up, her expression a mix of relief and concern. "Emma. Are you all right? We lost everyone when that light went off. No time. We need to regroup and get everyone out." Emma replied, glancing behind her. "The guards are closing in. They were running out of time." The flickering lights overhead cast eerie shadows, deepening their sense of foreboding. A wave of dread washed over Emma as she instinctively felt the ground shake, an earthquake of hostility just beneath the surface. "Over there." Clara pointed to an adjoining hallway, barely visible now through the fog. "That might be our way out." But a sudden roar issued from the doorway behind them, commanding attention. "There's nowhere to run. Surrender now, or face the consequences." The lead guard's voice boomed like thunderclouds ready to storm. Emma's pulse quickened. The word surrender sank into her like a weighty anchor. That was the very thing they refused to do, what they had come together to fight against. Adrenaline surged through her veins. "We're not backing down," Emma bellowed, her voice rising above the chaos. "This is our home. We'll fight for it." Inspired by her words, others began to rally. "Stand with us." Clara joined in, a fierce determination igniting her voice. Fighters moved toward the sound of their voices. The tide was turning, and Emma could feel it in the air. A surge of energy flowed through the crowd as people began chanting, "Together! Together!" But just as the collective strength reached a crescendo, the darkness flickered back into a vivid nightmarish reality. Another guard rushed in, brandishing the ominous device, a cruel smile curving his lips. With a press of a button, a deep, reverberating sound filled the hall, rattling teeth and shaking resolve. "This ends now." Emma's breath hitched, heart racing faster than ever. The moment teetered precariously on the edge of chaos, their fate hanging by a thread. "Everyone, stay close," Emma shouted, reaching for Clara's hand. But as she grasped it, a loud explosive crack echoed above them, drawing their attention upward. The ceiling began to cave in. What was happening? Would they survive this chaos or be swallowed whole by it? The air crackled with uncertainty, and Emma realized, with a chilling clarity, they were fighting not just for their home, but for their very lives. Emma's heart raced as she and Clara instinctively ducked, shielding their heads with their arms. Debris rained down around them, the thunderous cracks of splintering wood punctuating the frantic cries of the crowd. The dust spun like a cyclone, engulfing Emma and causing her to choke. She struggled to breathe, her world closing in. "Clara! Get down!" Emma shouted, her voice nearly swallowed by the chaos. The panic in Clara's eyes mirrored Emma's own. "We can't just stay here," she screamed back, desperately scanning for an escape even as fragments of the ceiling crashed to the floor nearby. Another roar filled the hall, this one tinged with a malicious glee. "You think you can fight? This place is condemned, and you all will perish with it." A fresh surge of terror clawed at Emma's insides. How could they fight against such overwhelming power? She felt her resolve begin to thin but clung to the fleeting spark of hope she had ignited moments before. "Look!" Clara shouted, pointing toward the far end of the hall. "There's a window. We need to get to the outside." Emma's eyes locked onto the broken window frame, shards of glass glinting ominously in the sparse light. It seemed like a long shot, but it was their only chance. "Let us go. Follow us," Emma yelled, urging nearby survivors to move. As they made their way through the debris-laden floor, the tremors of collapse grew more violent, the once familiar hall morphing into a deadly trap. Emma's breath quickened, and the weight of fear pressed down on her chest. They were never going to get out if they didn't stick together. "Run!" she commanded, as she caught an elder stumbling behind them. With a burst of adrenaline, Emma helped pull them forward, ignoring the worsening pain in her own legs. Adrenaline coursed through her, the instinct to survive overpowering any doubt creeping into her mind. Clara, now at Emma's side, shouted encouraging words to the others while dodging falling heavy beams. "Keep moving. Don't look back." Just as they reached the window, another thunderous crash sent everyone sprawling as part of the ceiling collapsed, blocking their escape route. The frantic cries of despair echoed around them, mixing with the dust swirling in the air, but Emma gritted her teeth. They couldn't stop, not now. Through the debris. She barked, her voice rising above the chaos again. "We can get around the other side." They crawled through the jagged remains of the hall, the air thick with dust and desperation. Emma felt every scratch against her skin, every harsh breath as they fought their way through darkness. Each second felt like an eternity, the guards' laughter echoing like a death knell behind them. Finally, they burst through to the other side, tumbling onto the grass just outside the building. Sunlight broke through the clouds of chaos, splashes of warmth fighting against the cold dread that had cloaked them inside, but as they gasped for breath, a realization hit Emma like a cold wave crashing against the shore: their fight wasn't over. Glancing back, she saw shadows advancing from the hall, figures dragging machinery that glinted under the sunlight. The guards were coming. "What do we do now?" Clara asked, her voice trembling. Emma squeezed Clara's hand tighter, determination burning in her chest. "We fight," she declared, her eyes narrowing as she scanned for their next move. "We can't let them take our home, not now." Before they could plan, a sudden explosion erupted from the side of the building, sending flames shooting into the sky, eclipsing their furious resolve with flickering embers and thick black smoke. "Forward! We push back!" Emma yelled, her voice a rallying cry amidst the chaos. They surged ahead, heartbeats pounding in unison. Emma's resolve surged with them, feeding off the desperation and unity of the crowd as they met the encroaching darkness head-on. But even as they charged forward, a tremor of doubt flickered in Emma's mind. Would this new resolve be enough? And then, within the twisted shapes of smoke, something unexpected moved, something that made her blood run cold. What? Had they awakened in their fight for survival? The screams around Emma grew louder, mingling with the crackling sound of flames licking at the edge of the building. The heat pulsed against her skin, driving the fear deeper into her bones. She felt like a moth drawn to the flickering light, but this was no comfort, only destruction awaited them. "Keep moving!" Emma roared, her voice a sharp slice through the chaos. They couldn't afford to falter now. The guards were coming. The flickering shadows had shape. They weren't just a figment of smoke, they were armed, and they looked ready for a fight. Clara stumbled beside her. "Emma, there, I know." Emma gritted her teeth, her mind racing. She glanced over her shoulder, and what she saw sent her heart plummeting. The guards, hulking figures in heavy, dark uniforms, were advancing with a brutal confidence. They were flanked by strange, mechanical beasts, machines that whirred ominously, ready to unleash whatever hell they had been built for. It was absurd, and yet real. This wasn't just a battle for survival, it was a war against a force that thrived on fear. "Where do we go?" Clara shouted, panic edging her voice. "Over there." Emma pointed toward a cluster of trees that lined the far side of the property. They offered some cover. "We can't let them pin us down here." They dashed toward the trees, the crowd pulsating behind them like a tide, panic mixing with a fierce resolve. Emma felt Clara's grip slackening, but she didn't look back. "We have to reach the trees." She yelled again, focusing on the path ahead, ignoring the roaring flames. Suddenly, a thunderous roar shook the ground beneath them. The machine was moving closer, its metallic arms snapping like the jaws of a beast. Emma felt the rush of wind as it swiped at the ground, nearly catching the edge of her foot. Fear surged as she stumbled, almost losing her balance. "Emma!" Clara screamed, her voice cutting through the noise like glass breaking. Emma turned, just in time to see Clara slip, her foot caught beneath a twisted piece of debris. The moment stretched, fear clawing at Emma's gut as if it had manifested itself physically. "Clara!" she shouted, lunging back, but the ground shook again. "No! Go!" Clara gasped, her eyes wide with terror. The moment hung between them, heavy and electric. "I can't, you need to, I want to leave you." Emma's heart hammered as time slowed. There had to be a way out. The guards were closing in, the shadows looming larger. With one last burst of will, Emma reached down, grabbing Clara's hand. She pulled with every ounce of strength she had, but there was no time. The mechanical beast had halted, the guards shifting their gaze toward them. "Now!" Clara cried, and Emma felt a surge of adrenaline. They surged together, dragging Clara free just as the machine's arm swooped down again, missing them by a hair. "Run!" Emma screamed, real fear settling in like ice in her chest. They took off, ignoring the burning pain in their legs, desperate for the cover of trees. The group scattered once they reached the tree line, and Emma ushered Clara behind the thickest trunk. Gasping for breath, they pressed against the bark, silent as death. A moment of stillness surrounded them, and Emma could feel her heart thumping like a war drum. The sound of metal crashing against metal echoed back toward the building, mingling with the panicked cries of the others. "We can't stay here," Clara whispered, her voice trembling. "They'll find us." At that instant, Emma realized they weren't just hiding. They were being hunted. The truth of their situation felt like chains tightening around her mind. This wasn't simply about survival. It was a dangerous game, and they were pawns, potentially with one ultimate sacrifice remaining. And then, from the darkness, a figure stepped forward, cloaked in shadow, and with it came a chilling whisper. "Is it true, then? Have you finally come to claim your power?" Emma's breath caught in her throat. She strained her eyes, yearning to understand. Who was this person? Could they really help? "Do you want to learn the truth?" The figure continued, their voice smooth yet chilling. What lay beyond the truth? Emma felt the weight of her choice pressing down. Would she risk everything to uncover what was hidden? Would Clara stand with her? Clara's voice broke the fragile silence, drawing her back. What was about to unfold could change everything. Suddenly, the stakes were higher than survival. "Are you ready?" the figure asked again, and Emma knew that whatever she chose next would define their fate forever. Emma's heart raced, each beat a metronome to the chaos around them. She peeked around the trunk, straining to catch a glimpse of their pursuers. The tension in the air was so thick she could almost taste it, bitter like ash. "Who are you?" Emma finally demanded, her voice stronger than she felt. The figure melted into sight, revealing a face eerily calm, eyes glinting with an unsettling brilliance. "Names are inconsequential," the figure replied, shifting slightly, the shadows seeming to curl around them like smoke. "What matters is the fate that binds you to this night. You have a choice, one that can shift the balance of power." "Power?" Clara echoed, her eyes darting nervously. "What do you mean?" The figure chuckled, a sound that sent shivers down Emma's spine. "You possess a potential greater than even you know. You're more than simple survivors, you could be our salvation." Emma felt the chill of doubt creep in. "Why should we trust you? This could be a trap." The figure stepped closer, their voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper that sliced through the noise. "Look around you, Emma. The flames, the machines, the guards hunting you down like prey. This is no ordinary situation. You are at the center of something far larger than yourself. But fear not, I can guide you." There was a flicker of hope amidst the chaos, but it mingled with uncertainty. Emma could feel Clara's hand trembling in hers, a telltale sign of the fear that coursed through them both. "And what's the catch?" Emma asked, eyeing the figure warily. "Only your loyalty and perhaps a test of courage." A smirk appeared, teasing the edges of their lips as if they held the secrets of the universe within. If you choose to accept this path, it could lead to freedom or doom. Are you willing to risk everything? Before Emma could respond, a loud clatter echoed through the trees. The ground shook beneath them again, and harsh voices shouted commands nearby. The guards were closer now, fueled by the ambition to capture the very heart of defiance. Time is of the essence, the figure hissed. Choose. Emma's mind raced, weighed down by the unfolding chaos yet sparked by the promise of finding her own power. She felt trapped between two worlds, the grim reality of their escape and the tantalizing prospect of a strength she had yet to understand. Are you with me, Clara? Emma whispered urgently, her eyes searching her friend's. Clara's gaze flickered with fear, but also something deeper, a flicker of determination behind her terrified facade. Always, Clara breathed, the conviction lacing her voice, steadying Emma's resolve. Then let us do this, Emma finally said, her voice trembling but resolute. What do we need to do? Follow me, but stay silent. We must move swiftly and unseen. The figure beckoned, slipping deeper into the forest with a grace that felt otherworldly. Clara and Emma followed, cautious but driven. The shadows seemed to shift around them, thickening as they delved deeper into the darkness. Emma felt her pulse quickening, caught between exhilaration and dread. The air was alive, electric with the promise of change. As they ran, the distant sounds of chaos behind them dimmed, but Emma could still feel the tension like a taut wire ready to snap. There's something more, Clara murmured, and Emma's heart sank as she realized, the guards were no longer just hunting them as strays, they had become the hunt, and she could feel the claws of fate closing in. Keep moving. The figure urged, but in that moment, doubt sank its teeth into her. What was waiting for them at the end of this path? Emma's body surged with both anticipation and fear as they sprinted deeper into the shadows, unaware of the truth that was about to collide with their lives in a way they could neither ignore nor escape. Suddenly, a loud crash resounded through the woods as a massive shadow loomed above them. Emma stopped dead in her tracks, her breath hitching in her throat. A monstrous, mechanical beast had emerged, blocking their way. This was a new level of horror, a cage built of metal and nightmares. Run! The figure shouted, but Emma knew they would have to face this head-on. With their destinies intertwined, Emma squared her shoulders. The choice had been made, but what would they discover in the heart of the beast? Would they reclaim their power or lose everything? Emma's heart raced as she faced the mechanical beast. The air hummed with tension, shadows shifting ominously. It towered above them, a hulking mass of gears and metal, ready to crush anyone who dared challenge its reign. But she refused to back down. Her friends stood behind her, Clara, Mary, Jake, all waiting, drawing strength from her. Stay united! Emma shouted, her voice cutting through the emotional fog. She felt the pressure of their hopes resting on her shoulders. The power they had just glimpsed needed a spark, a moment to ignite into something fierce. With a determined nod, she took a step forward, facing the metallic creature. We will not be afraid. This ends with us. Clara mirrored Emma's effort, stepping forward as well. In a matter of heartbeats, the mechanical monster roared to life, its eyes flashing an eerie red. Emma felt her pulse quicken, fear wrapped around her like a vine. But she also felt an unfamiliar strength surge within her. We're more than fighters. We are a community. She yelled, channeling everything she had into her voice. The words hung in the air, thick and electrifying, inspiring the others. Together. They echoed, a rallying cry that pierced through the dread. With that, Emma sprinted forward, leading her friends as they charged at the beast. A flurry of motion surged behind them, a wave of unified souls determined to reclaim what was theirs. As they reached the monster, Clara grabbed a discarded metal pipe from the ground, wielding it with newfound confidence. On 3. Emma called. 1, 2, 3. They struck out, the impact resounding against the cold metal. Sparks flew, showering them in flashes of light as the machine faltered. It staggered, then regained its balance, retaliation obvious in its unnatural movements. "Keep going," Mary shouted, her voice a lifeline over the chaos. Emma glanced back at the group, saw the fire in their eyes. This was their moment. And just when despair threatened to creep back in, the shadows heightened around them. The mysterious figure had reappeared, standing amidst the chaos. "You're not just fighting for survival. You're awakening something profound." With those words, a sudden rush of energy surged through Emma's body, a flicker of realization igniting her spirit. She understood now this was about more than just reclaiming their community center or surviving the onslaught. It was about fighting for their very existence, their right to hope, and to create a future. "Come with me," the figure commanded, urging them forward as the mechanical beast reeled. Emma grasped Clara's hand, pulling her up alongside, and together, they weaved through debris and danger. "Together," they shouted again, every voice rising in solidarity, fueled by the belief that they could reshape their destiny. As they fought against the beast, a sudden burst of heat flooded the air, flames erupting from the sides of the machine. In that instant, Emma felt the terrifying weight of fear lessen, replaced by something far more powerful: unity. In the heart of chaos, they found their strength. They pressed against the beast, continuing their assault, and with one final collective blow, the mechanical giant crumbled, its pieces clattering to the ground in defeat. Emma felt the ground beneath her shift. An echo of victory resonated through the forest. "Now's our chance," Jake shouted, leading the charge away from the wreckage. But Emma was already looking forward, the path ahead clear, a guiding light forward. They burst through the trees and emerged into the sunlight. The warmth washed over them like a wave, instantly invigorating. In that moment, Emma's heart swelled. From the corner of her eye, she caught sight of the community center standing untouched amidst the chaos, a beacon of resilience in contrast to the smoldering debris of what they had just faced. "We did it!" Mary exclaimed, tears of relief streaming down her face. Emma turned to her friends, their eyes alight with pride and determination. "We faced the darkness and returned stronger. This is just the beginning." Clara squeezed Emma's hand, smiling through her tears. "Together, we'll rebuild. Together, we will create something beautiful." For the first time, Emma allowed herself to breathe, hope flooding her chest, a future where they would stand united, proud of their shared identity. The battle had forged them anew, not just as individuals, but as a community unbreakable. And as they stood together, she knew they had claimed power and enduring light that would guide them forward, wherever the road may lead. In Maplewood, resilience and community shone brighter than any shopping center ever could. Now, my friends, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories we have lined up just for you. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. It really makes a difference. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about how this epic journey came to a conclusion, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this powerful conclusion. Your support means the world.